Welcome to another episode of Marketing 101 for Chiropractors, where we keep you ahead of the curve, attracting more new patients and growing your business. Now, here's your host, Dr. D himself.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another podcast of Marketing 101. We got a really fun guest this week, JD from the Wow Institute. Thanks for being here, my man.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And it's funny, when I just listened to your intro there, we've got a great guest on today. Do you ever intro? We've got an awful guest on today.
Awful guest. I've never introduced him as an awful guest. We'll let the crowd decide at the end. But no, honestly, I haven't had any awful guests. You guys are all purposeful, and you have a purpose behind you, and you reach out to me, or my team reaches out to you and asks you to be a guest, and you graciously say yes. And no, I've never really had a bad guest. I don't think I have. I'll go back and check. Maybe there is one. We'll see.
Well, let's hope this is not a first.
No, let's not. No, you're from Australia. We should be good to go there. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, tell us about how'd you get into all this? How did you create the Wow Institute? And you're going to bring some powerful messaging about marketing, which I'm going to love to listen to you, because it's everything I've been telling people over and over again every time. And you're just going to drive it home, I think, with just the fundamentals of marketing that really work and have always worked.
Good. Well, yeah, thank you. And look, Enrico probably referred to me as JD. My name is John Dwyer, so that's why I get JD. I get lots of other bad names too, but JD is what I get mostly. And yeah, our business is called the Institute of Wow.com. And as that name infers, it's all about teaching business owners, including chiropractors, just how to create wow factors to attract more customers, or in your instance, to attract more clients. And look, the bottom line is that most business owners, they went to university or college and they've come out with a wonderful degree or diploma, but they were never taught how to get clients. And I'm sure that most of your listeners or viewers have come out of college with a degree, but I bet you not once throughout that 3 or 4 or 5 years, the lecturers ever taught them how to get a customer. And that's really, if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. And what we've found, particularly in the area that you're dealing in, is that they're wonderful, wonderful technicians, and a lot of them are very, very skilled, but they don't have a lot of marketing skills. And would that be fair to say?
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. And what happens is that when you don't have a lot of marketing skills, you tend to fall into that category where you actually rely on price. And so therefore you say, look, we're doing this, this, and this, and this is how much we charge. And of course, once you do that, then there's a risk that you become a commodity and that your prospects go to the cheapest price, and you don't want to be in that game.
What a great tip. That's already smash advice right there, because you got me thinking. I'm like, a lot of us chase the next shiny thing, the next shiny object to bring into our business. And because we're just not marketing ourselves well as being a solution to a problem.
Yeah, and you've just nailed it in terms of solution to a problem, because what our business, I guess, specializes in is what we call direct response marketing, not marketing, but direct response marketing. And if you went to the typical advertising agency, and these days that's normally run by a bearded hipster with a ponytail, says the baby boomer who's trying to distinguish himself from the young folk. But yeah, the marketing agencies will say to you, look, we'll get people to fall in love with your brand so that they'll taste your product. We flip that. We teach businesses how to get them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand. And so direct response marketing is quite the opposite from putting your face on the side of a bus or the back of a taxi. In our instance, it's all about advertising on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn today, and getting a lot of business tomorrow. It's direct response.
Yes. Great. What have you seen over the years shift? I mean, obviously digital marketing, digital media, social media. But what principles in marketing have you seen been successful through the test of time? And what have you seen that have to be adaptable by newer business owners now than they did before? Like what has the trend been that you've seen that works?
Not a lot has changed in terms of what works and what doesn't. It's just the communication platforms that have changed. And so what worked on, I was born in the 1800s, and so therefore I've seen all of the communication platform changes. And back in the day where it might have been, letterbox brochure or newspaper or magazine or TV, and I know that's still around, but it's not used as much as those platforms aren't used as much as they used to. The same principles apply, and that is problem solution marketing. And you mentioned it before, problem solution. That's what direct response is all about, giving them their problem and providing them with the solution. And the 5 components of direct response are: number 1, highlight their problem. Number 2, basically aggravate that problem. So highlight their problem. Are you overweight? Number 2, aggravate that problem. Do you know that spring and summer are just around the corner? Don't you want to look good in your swimsuit? Number 3 is provide the solution, and that's come on the dietary program, and you can look like a supermodel in 4 weeks. And then number 4, of course, and that is proof. That's generally speaking testimonials. And then number 5, what we call a strong CTA. CTA stands for call to action. And you know what? Aside from the problem solution scenario being pretty simple with you guys, because of what you do, it's pretty straightforward. The problem solution that you offer. Most chiropractors, I suspect, fall down on the CTA, and that is the call to action. That's not to say that they don't say, look, come to my website or click this link, but they don't make it sexy enough. They don't make it attractive enough for someone in light speed to click that button and come through that landing page.
Yes. Yeah. Now we're getting into the technicalities of the offer. So for the listeners out there, I think you make it sound pretty simple. You said it's very simple and understanding of what chiropractors do, but you'll be surprised as I help a lot of them. It's not that they don't know what they do. It's they don't know how to portray what they do or what solutions they actually provide for the patients. And I mean, in places like Australia and Canada, where they're tightly guided, we talked about this in the green room, they're also a little gun shy of even trying to market things because of their boards. So they have to stay in their lane as well. But you can be highly effective with your marketing and stay in your lane because the problems that you solve are still what you do. And I think there's a little confusion there when it comes to chiropractors.
Oh, absolutely. I have no clue what a chiropractor does. I don't know. And I think that and look, Enrico, you might have some statistics on this, and maybe I'm just the only stupid person in the world. Now, I have a general idea what a chiropractor does, and I've probably been to one maybe 2 or 3 times throughout my 1,000 years when I've had a sore neck or sore back or something like that. But I think largely speaking, there'd be a lot of people out there that don't know the breadth of services that a chiropractor provides. And so therefore you can't sell a secret. When I'm doing presentations on stage at a seminar or convention, I say to people, look, I think I'm probably up there in the top 10% of marketers globally. And I said, that's showing off, I know. But by the same token, would have you people come to my seminar if I said I was the 25th best marketing guy in the country? No, you wouldn't. You came to this because when you jumped onto the registration page to come to this particular seminar, I gave you case study after case study after case study of all the things that I've done. And you've come, because you want to hear from someone who's been around the block a few times and has runs on the board. And I don't know whether, and again, because I haven't studied chiropractors in terms of their marketing specifically, but I think they do fall into that category where they possibly assume that everyone knows what they've done, what they do, and everyone knows what they've done, and that's not the case at all.
Not at all. And with, YouTube and social media, I mean, your general idea of what a chiropractor does is based off of those quick 10-second reels of like people getting their head decapitated and other things with towels and stuff like that, and then loud crunching. So there's a conception of that. There is a small niche of people saying, ooh, I need that, who are, into that stuff. The rest of the people are like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what that is. That's scary. I don't even know if I want to go. So we have to play with that with our marketing as well. And the only way to do that is to show the solution to the problem, and avoid the theatrics. I think that's one thing when it comes to digital is how do we as entrepreneurs in any niche do that? Portray the solution to a problem. First off, we have to find maybe the biggest problems. Like the weight loss one was great. The quick one that you did there about looking like a supermodel in 4 weeks. I mean, that's a great, guarantee. It's a great offer. It's a great solution. But when it comes to healthcare or maybe a problem, how do we portray that properly in our call to action or in our offer?
The best way is testimonials. And I know that, you've got a global audience, and so therefore in some countries there might be some restrictions, but generally speaking, for most industries, I preach to them, look, for goodness sake, if you show off, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with doing that if you've got the runs on the board. But it's going to be much more powerful if your clients or your customers show off. So, on all of my websites that we have websites for solar dealerships and for restaurants and hospitality, and websites for tradesmen, as in electricians, and basically we set up websites for what we do individually for various industries. We don't have one for chiropractors, but a lot of industries we have separate websites for them, and we talk their language on that website, because talking to a tradesman is very different from talking to perhaps a chiropractor. And on each of those websites, I make sure that I've got at least a dozen, not one, not two, not three, at least a dozen of that particular business owner raving about what we have done for him or her. And as much as my personality is a bit cheeky and sarcastic, and so therefore, I'll say that I'm good at this and good at that. I don't say it without backing it up with case studies and with history, but that's never going to be as powerful as the dozen testimonials that might be below me. And when I say testimonials, not written, because nobody believes them. They just think that you've written it and put Betty's name at the bottom of it. So if you can get them on video, and obviously with that comes problems, because not many people are very comfortable in front of the camera. So you've just got to interview them and then cut your voice out of it. Okay. But if they are saying that you're wonderful and that you treated them with respect and that, basically you created a miracle, result for them, boy, oh boy, that's a rocket fuel. Absolute rocket fuel.
Yes. Yeah, video testimonials, are so key in the video is king world right now. Everything is video marketing. People are seeing either it's a quick 8-second reel, or if they tag in and watch the full 57-minute video. It's because you've looped them into something that you're going to solve for them, and they want more information on it. So a testimonial is a great way. You can add this to your landing pages. You can use it as the video, as the Facebook ad itself if you want. I've tried that. Those are quite successful as well. But you're right. These written testimonials, they're great. The Google reviews are fantastic for people searching for a new person. But the power comes within hearing the same testimonial and being relatable with the person that has a problem. That's great. In the healthcare field, what have you found being the new thing that works, or is it just the same formula?
Well, something that we've created about 6 months ago, and it happened by accident, that's absolutely smashing it for any business, it doesn't matter what industry they're in, is what we've nicknamed the Facebook contest formula. Part of my background was putting together all the scratch bingo games in the 90s and early 2000s for Rupert Murdoch's newspapers. And so what would happen is that you'd buy the newspaper on a Sunday, you would get a scratch bingo card out of that, and then you'd have to buy the paper daily, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc., because each day they published a series of bingo numbers, and then you would scratch out your bingo card, and that if you got 3 or 4 or whatever symbols they were, then you won $50,000, right? It stimulated the circulation numbers of his newspapers like crazy. And then over the years, I've done the same thing for McDonald's and KFC and all the fast food chains. And so coming from that background of running contests and seeing how powerful they can be if it's done properly, then what we've done is created a thing called the Facebook contest formula. It can be Instagram or LinkedIn or any other platform, TikTok, but let's just call it Facebook. And what happens is that the business gives away its product or service as the prize. So in your instance, of course, it would be a chiropractic, 2 sessions or 3 sessions or whatever it might be. Now, whoever enters that contest, has to have a bad back or bad neck. You don't enter a contest to get free chiropractor service if you're, absolutely healthy in every way.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. A dentist, for example, we're talking $20 a day on Facebook, 1,000 leads a week. We're not talking 24 leads or 50 leads. A dentist got 991 leads in the first week. I said to him, "Who's your target audience?" He said, "Oh, look, parents, particularly rich parents of children with crooked teeth." we want to market Invisalign braces, those invisible braces that the kids put on these days. They don't have the metal in their mouth anymore. And they're not cheap. They're $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. So he said, look, how about we give one of them away? So that's what we did. We ran a Facebook contest and we said to parents in rich suburbs, because Facebook being what it is, it's pretty laser targeted. You can laser, geodemographically the rich people. And we said, if your child's got crooked teeth, how would you like to win invisible braces for him or her? Click the ad and go through to a landing page. And on that landing page, of course, we promote the dentist, but also we get their name and address, their blood group, basically everything about them. And at the end of that, then he gives one away. But all the other people, then his girl rings him up and says, look, got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you didn't win Invisalign braces, but it's pretty clear that you've got a child with crooked teeth. The good news is we have a special deal this week on invisible braces, and it's just the results are unbelievable. We're talking this particular dentist here in Australia, $20 a day he spent, and he got 991 leads in the first week.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, but Enrico, they're not leads, they're red hot leads, because if you give away lawn mowing services and that's your prize because you're a lawn mowing company, then someone in an apartment is not going to enter that contest. They're going to have a front yard and a backyard, or they're on acreage. So whoever enters that contest, just put their hand up and gloat in the dark. I want lawn mowing services.
Yeah. And I've tried that as well. So a question I know the listeners are listening to are like, wow, that's great. The idea is fantastic. I've done like the pillow giveaways and all these things. And I've generated, 800 leads as well. But I don't know how many Invisaligns that doctor sold with that campaign, or if you have that number, it can be frustrating. I don't know how he handled 900 leads. That, first off, you have to have a system to handle those. I think with AI and email and text marketing, I think it's pretty easy. But tell me how that worked out, because for some listeners, like a new chiropractor is like, oh my gosh, I want 900 leads. And then for some of us that have been in practice, they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a nightmare. If you were to do something like that and have that kind of success, the funnel has to work. We can't bottleneck this in any way, shape, or form, or else we're going to lose a lot of energy. So what does that look like on the back end for, let's use the Invisalign doctor in Australia?
Easy. He had his girl ring up the first 100 and had an 11% conversion rate. She couldn't do any more. She basically, her head exploded. And so therefore we just put our AI robots onto it, and the robot went from 11% to 16% conversion rate. So, it's really easy. When anybody says to me, oh, that's going to be a problem, I go, well, go and get a job. You should not be in business if you can't handle what we call avalanche response.
Thank you.
Go and get a job. You're not a business
Thank you.
person.
I have to stop saying it because people started hating me about saying the angry stuff and the real truth, like a coach. They were like, man, you're too rough. I'm like, no, it's true. If you can't hit the ball, don't play baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
My book is called The Avalanche Leads. We get, our whole thing is about getting a shitload of leads. It's not about getting 5 or 6 or 7 or 10. Yeah. So everything we do, we think scale. And so therefore we partnered with a San Francisco company in terms of robots. And we did this around about 8 months ago. And it's been a great move for us, because when clients who cannot handle avalanche response say to us, oh, you give me a headache, you give me a problem, and of course you think, well, you're an idiot. I mean, people would just crawl over broken glass to get 1,000 leads a week.
Yeah.
So we just put the robots on, and the robot rings up people, and it says exactly the same script. Look, unfortunately you didn't win, but obviously you need lawn mowing services, so therefore we've got a special deal this week. And the special deal this week is that normally we say, get in and buy my product by Friday, and we'll give you a free vacation, 3 nights in Vegas or New York or San Diego or Disney World or wherever it might be, because we have an association with a travel partner that gets access to unsold rooms throughout the United States and around the world. And so therefore the hotels outside of school vacation periods are happy to give up the room for free in the hope that whoever stays there will spend money on food and beverage. So the classic conversion Happy Meal toy is, look, you did not win, but we've got a special deal on this week. If you want to buy my product or service, we'll give you a family holiday for free, because we give these to the businesses for $50. So they got $1,000 vacation. They buy off us for $50, and they give that away as a Happy Meal toy to use as a conversion tool.
That's you that does that. I've seen those around. Okay. There you
Evil,
go.
Dr. Evil. Yeah.
And no, they're fantastic. They're great. They're engaging. Like, well, hey, what is this? Well, how do I get a free vacation? That's fantastic. Yes, I like that avalanche issue. And let's be clear here: most doctors are not getting the avalanche response, but the ones that do, it really, it's like, hey, we have to turn off the ads. I get that sometimes. I'm like, well, are you nuts? Like, what's going on? This is what you paid us for to do, and it's highly successful. It's like your patient saying, "I'm feeling way too good, way too fast, doc. Slow down." Slow down, hurt me, and slow this whole thing down again.
But you know what, Enrico, when somebody says to us, look, I can't handle 999, 991 it was leads in a week, we go, okay, we'll spend $10 a day. You'll get 450 leads. It's
you can turn up the dial, or turn down the dial. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the nice thing about budget marketing. Fantastic. So those are some great things. So going back to what people can walk away with today is really putting some effort into the thought of your problem solution. I think that's where it all starts. The call to action has to be clean. It has to be low friction to transaction. It has to be very simple where you can get their information and pursue the lead. This is really it. And people think they have it. They get frustrated with the discount offers. You can see this Invisalign doctor didn't even give out a discount. He didn't even say get 50% off your Invisalign signing up for this. He said one person's going to win. We're going to give it to one. And the other 300, we're going to give them a little deal, and I'm going to increase my sales by 900%. That's really how we need to think about this. And it sounds simple, but it just takes a few minutes to really put some effort into what's your community suffering from and what solutions do you offer from those top problems. As far as healthcare, how do you do your background research to help any new client that you onboard, no matter what industry they're in? How do you find what people are searching for or where the pain points are in the local community to help that business grow?
My best buddy these days is a guy called ChatGPT. So really, at the end of the day, I've become a lazy bastard. I used to do all of this. I mean, even Googling now is old hat. So I've got ChatGPT sitting next to me all day, and if I want some copy written, now it is only as good as your prompt or as your brief. We know that, and it's like everything else. If you haven't done your homework in the background, then of course it's unlikely that you're going to get the result in the end of the day. But yeah, ChatGPT or derivations of that, whichever platform you want to use. But I use ChatGPT. It's just a winner. If someone spoke to me today and they've got home nursing services here in Australia. And he said to me, "Oh, look, I was just wondering, JD, what postcodes or zip codes would have the most, the biggest percentage of pensioners, people who are in their 70s and 80s who might need home nursing care." And whilst he was on the phone with me, it was a phone call, not a Zoom. Otherwise, he would have seen what I did. I just typed into ChatGPT just to show off. And within 20 seconds, I said to him, "Okay, well, what postcode are you in?" I knew what he was in. He said, "Oh, it's a zip code 27410." I said, "Okay, well, 62% of that suburb are over the age of 65." And his head exploded. He thought I was David Copperfield. And he said, I said, "Look, I just happen to, my favorite thing is just, reading books about statistics." He said, "Oh, that's BS. Where do you get that from?" And I told him, and so therefore, really, you don't have to be smart these days. You can employ the smartest person in the world, and he's called ChatGPT.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're right. Okay. I don't think my trust is there yet with all of it, but you're right. ChatGPT can quickly pull all the information off the internet for you with the good prompt. You just have to tell the prompt what to do. Not saying what zip code should I target for this. You want to say, based on search results on Google and WebMD in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, what has been the most searched pain points or conditions that people are searching for in the last 3 months that maybe I can do EDDM marketing or direct social marketing to help hit those pain points and get them to become clients in my office. I mean, you can put in a whole paragraph and it'll take ChatGPT an extra 2.5 seconds to find that. And then boom, you really do get a foundational source on that where you can click on the references too. They'll even reference where they get the information from Google search, from WebMD, from health grades, from Yelp. They'll tell you where they're getting the sources from. And if you need to background check that, you can. But it's such a good starting point to get your contact going or even create ad copy or all that stuff. So utilize this. So when people say AI, that's what they're talking about is open AI and the sources that these systems can use in the background. That's fantastic. What else do you think? Did we miss anything as far as the wow factor?
Yeah, look, it's digital marketing these days, of course, is pretty much 90% of what any chiropractor should be doing. And the great thing, when you ask me that question, look, what has changed over the years since, I started in the 1800s with Little House on the Prairie. I don't think the creativity needs to change that much, but of course, what has changed is the platform, and what has changed is the speed. So if I had an ad that was not successful back in the day, and it was in a women's magazine that comes out each month, I would just have to, wait till the new magazine came out the following month. Of course, these days, if you keep your finger on the pulse of your digital marketing, then you can change that ad within a heartbeat. And so speed has really been something that digital has brought to the table. And therefore, I always say to people, look, for goodness sake, if YouTube tells us that the most watched videos in the world are cat videos, then that shows that I know nothing, and most of us know nothing. Because if we were asked before that statistic was, sort of publicised, would a cat video be the top viewing video on YouTube? You go, well, get out of here, that's rubbish. But apparently it is, and so therefore, if that is the case, and we've all sort of feel like an idiot because we didn't know that, then just simply test and fix. Come up with 2 or 3 or 4 different ads, knowing full well that maybe the first one won't fire because that's not the cat video success story, but the second or third or fourth one might. And for those who are using, a digital marketing agency where the 23-year-old owns it, then they don't really have enough wrinkles to have had enough runs on the board to know what works and what doesn't. They'll tell you that they are, but they're still using pimple cream. So I would actually be looking, and this might sound like it serves my purpose when I'm a baby boomer, but nonetheless, I would be looking for someone who does have a history of doing this stuff, so that their mistake rate is probably going to be lower than a 25-year-old who's just doing it for the second time, regardless of whether or not they are in digital marketing. The fact is that they've got some runs on the board and they know what problem solution, if you like, what would I say, scenario works best. And the only other thing too I would suggest to anyone is that in terms of data collection, and you might be able to answer this, Enrico, when somebody comes on as a patient, does a chiropractor get absolutely everything from them, or is it name and address?
Is it? Sorry, I missed the question.
Sorry, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. But when somebody becomes a client of a chiropractor, does the chiropractic clinic get everything about that person, or is it just name and address?
Oh, yeah. Well, based on HIPAA regulations, you can't ask anything through the digital. If you have a landing page, I think you can. So it's name, phone number, and email.
Okay, yeah. Because we talk about leads and then we talk about good leads. In my instance, we service small to medium-sized businesses mainly. I've come from the corporate world of doing McDonald's and 7-Eleven and all of that sort of stuff. But these days, we tend to concentrate on providing marketing assistance to small to medium-sized businesses. And what we do is that when we do advertise on social media and we get a lead, we put them through a landing page, which basically asks them everything but their blood group. And the reason we do that is because if I'm going to talk to someone, I want to make sure that I'm not talking to a part-time taxi driver who just saw my ad and thought I'd be interesting to talk to this guy. I want to make sure that I'm going to be talking to the decision maker who has a business. And so therefore we put them through a pre-qualification process on the landing page to make sure that they got teeth and they got a job.
Yeah, it's great. What questions do you think we should get from there?
Yeah, in your instance, I mean, you wouldn't want to ask them, it'd be a bit rude asking them for their income, but you would ask them for their occupation, because if they're a barrister, there's a better chance that they're going to be able to afford your services than someone might be working on the garbage truck with the council. And yeah, just basically be as inquisitive as you can without being intrusive, but name, address, email, of course, and phone number, probably likes and dislikes, maybe, any, because sport would play a big role in what you guys do. Then, do they play sport, or have they played sport? And as a result, have they had any injuries? And the big one is what their occupation is, because their occupation will tell you how much they can pay you.
I like that. Occupation. The problems with healthcare is, asking too many health related questions, because then you're collecting personal data on them. But asking them, what their chief complaint is, or what's their problem right now, and have you tried anything else in the meantime to do this? Those are just general questions. But occupation is a great one. I'm going to add that right away to my landing pages, because you can screen people out that way. and see who's going to be a viable customer, which is fantastic. JD?
You know, in the world that we live in, where Amazon should have taught all of us a lesson in terms of the value of collecting data, my wife and myself, we went to dinner last night, and I don't know, we both had a steak and a bottle of wine, and no, we didn't both have a bottle of wine. Yeah, my wife
doesn't matter, no judgment.
Yeah, so fair enough, good. Yeah, and so let's say it's $100, $130, whatever it might have been. That restaurant let us come and go without collecting our data. And speaking at a restaurant convention in Sydney, Australia, not long ago, and everyone in that room was the owner of a cafe or restaurant. And I said to them, I'm going to give you something now absolutely free. Not one of you will use it. Not one of you will, because you're suffering from a disease worse than COVID, and it's called dickheaditis, okay? You are not going to use this. And of course, they all laugh, and JD's a funny guy on stage. We have a client in Melbourne who has a seafood restaurant, and he's in an upmarket suburb. And he's the only restaurant in the world that's full 365 nights a year. He has 150 seats, and not one seat is vacant any night of the year. It's a very simple thing. He was spending just under $1 million on advertising, mainly digital. And he came onto my program, and I said, okay, well, let's save that $1 million for you. What we'll do is get every hostess, waitress and waiter, to walk up to the table at the end of the meal, whether it was a business lunch with 4 guys or whether it was just a couple, and hand them a little entry form, not an app, not a QR code, a little entry form, old world style, which says win dinner for 10 of your friends at the end of the month. Fill that in. 95% of people fill it in. And guess what? He's now got 92,000 on his database, because who doesn't want to win dinner for 10 of their friends at the end of the month? Every afternoon at 3 o'clock, he sends out one of my text messages. I've given him about 30 of them. And he'll say to his secretary, how many seats of the 150 are full? She'll say, 80. He said, well, in that case, we have to fill 70 seats. Send out to 300 or 400 of the database a special deal. And the text message would say, Enrico and your wife's name, it's Chef Pierre here from the seafood restaurant. We'd like to invite you to enjoy a seafood lobster tail meal for 2 for $68. And it's only available for the next 10 minutes. She would walk in 10 minutes later and say the entire 150 seats have gone. So those 70 seats have gone within 10 minutes. No advertising, no money on billboards on the side of a freeway. It's purely and simply grabbing the data and then exploiting it every afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Guys, your database is the most valuable thing to your business during the entire career that you have in your business and when you go to sell. Trust me on this. The bigger that list, the stronger the list. It's fantastic, because every time you hit send, you make a sale. It's crazy. I have podcasts on this, JD, trust me. But they all suffer from dickheaditis. So that's the problem with it.
So does McDonald's. So does McDonald's. McDonald's don't collect data. And anyone younger out there who's watching this and listening to this would go, oh, come on, you old fart, they do. No, they don't. They've got a QR code somewhere on the counter, and they may have an app. But, a good percentage of their audience are over 40 and 45, and they're not going to play with the app. Why they wouldn't put a name and address entry for some sort of contest, win McDonald's food for 6 months, for God's sake, that's not good. But anyway, they thought it would, but they think it is. The tray mat on the tray when you take the food to your table, if you're eating in, could easily have a contest on it. It just freaks me out. I cannot believe that Amazon have taught us all what to do, and yet hardly anyone follows it.
Yeah, it's true.
By the way, last but not least, I have to say to you, incentives. I mean, the vacation one that we have is probably the most powerful incentive I've ever seen in my life, and you know how that came about because you looked at the Seinfeld stuff that I've done. But incentives are very, very powerful as a mechanism to distinguish you from the chiropractor down the road, because to perhaps Mrs. Smith, despite the fact that you've got a great history of being a chiropractor, for argument's sake, she might see you a bit like a solar dealership, whereby a solar panel looks the same as all the other solar panels. You're in a Me Too industry. There's a lot of people who say the same thing as you do. So if there's any chance, if regulations allow you to do it, that you can provide people with an incentive, it's called incentive-based marketing. We call it Happy Meal toy. So if you can give them a Happy Meal toy, there's a pretty good chance that you will stand out from the crowd. You've got the wow factor. Now, whether that's a dining voucher at the local cafe or whether it's movie tickets for 2, and I'm not sure what the average spend for a chiropractor sort of session is, But, if they have 6 sessions with you, give them a double pass to the movies, for God's sake. Give them something. The reason the vacation works is that it costs the same as a double pass to the movies, $50, but it's worth $1,000. So the reason Happy Meals work with the toy is because that toy is made in China for 20 cents. But when the child gets it at McDonald's, it's valued at $5 to the parents because they just saw that exact same toy in Kmart for $5. So if you've got an incentive that's a low cost but high perceived value, shut the gate. It's all over. It's a home run.
Yes, agreed. This was awesome. Thanks, JD. Maybe we'll have you back. This is powerful stuff.
My pleasure.
Take care. And remember, go to the Institute of Wow to check out some of his stuff. He's got some programs. He's got some stuff on there. He's got the Avalanche book. Check it all out. This stuff can help you when you need some focus. ChatGPT doesn't have all the answers. JD has written it all out for you. ChatGPT is a tool.
I'll tell you what, I'll give everyone a freebie. When you're in the seminar game like I am, you've got to write a book. So therefore I decided that because I'm a dickhead, I would write a big book. So if you're listening to this, you can't see it, but if you're watching this is the size of a tabloid newspaper, and it's leather bound with gold tip edges and so forth. And there's 300 pages of case studies that have worked. I didn't put the ones in there that didn't work, but it's case study after case study after case study, including the one with Seinfeld, where I got Seinfeld to be a spokesman for a bank down under, and that was a success story that, just billions and billions and billions of extra dollars they made through home loans. But if anyone wants that, then if you don't mind, Rick, I'll just give them my email address. If they send it to me, then I'll send them this digital version. Obviously, I can't sell. This book costs $420 to print, so I can't sell you. I can't send you the book. Yeah. If you just want this book for free, it's basically an unbelievable Bible of case studies of direct response marketing. Just give me an email at john@theinstituteofwow.com, and I will give you the link for what we call the Wow Manifesto.
Awesome. John@theinstituteofwow.com. Reach out to him, get those case studies, try and implement some of them into your business. And thank you so much for your time, JD.
My pleasure. All the best, mate. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, and leave a rating. It helps get our podcast out to more listeners. Also, join Marketing 101 for Chiropractors on Facebook, or visit us at enricod.com for more information on growing and scaling your business.